GA0993341, also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Pando FM in Pando, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, and Bishara Radio in Bono. It's also on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G. Just a touch. In this edition, security analysts warns it will be difficult to stop vigilantism in 2020 elections as long as government fails to punish those recommended in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence, as Secretary to the Emil Short Commission calls for a cleanup of the security services.
And we thought that given the importance of the security sector, particularly in an electoral season as we have in 2020, it is important that we streamline the security sector.
Also, National Identification Authority attributes discrepancies in biographic data of applicants to delays in issuance of cards.
They used names or date of births that are different, some of them, that are different from the names and date of birth that they are presenting to NIA in 2018, 2019, 2020.
We'll hear more from the NIA boss. He's also blaming low registration on conduct of some NIA staff.
We set up card issuance centers across the region. The cards are with them. Some of them are keeping the cards on them, calling the applicants, getting them to pay money by mobile money to them, all kinds of corrupt conduct.
And students at the Accra Technical University to hit the streets as they claim the impasse between TUTAC, TUSAG and government is adversely affecting their academics.
We are here and then we are standing. We came in and there's nothing. You can't even see the lectures house. Yesterday they had a press conference. They were trying to resolve issues and stuff. But at the end of the day, we've not heard anything from yesterday till now. And then we are pleading on the government and also on the lectures also.
We have sports.
High jumper Rose Yeboah talks up her Olympic dream as she aims to meet the 1.90 meters qualifying standard.
And global mixed reaction greets decision by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to step back as senior royals and split their time between the UK and North America.
We have chosen to carve out a progressive new role within this institution.
We have more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. And in our very first story for this afternoon, a security expert is warning it will be difficult to stop the activities of vigilante groups in the 2020 elections as long as government fails to punish those recommended in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence. 23 people suffered various degrees of injuries during the violence, which many described as a scar on the country's democracy. As you know, government last year rejected at least half of the findings and recommendations of the Emil Short Commission, which investigated the by-election violence. Here are extracts of both reports. In its findings, the Commission noted that while there was some semblance of security provided within the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency on the day of the elections, the otherwise reasonable arrangement was abruptly disrupted by the SWAT team, who, though were not part of the arrangement, arrived on the scene unannounced. The Commission was particularly worried about the lack of coordination in ensuring a proper mapping of the security needs of the elections and strategic hotspots in light of past experiences. In its recommendations, it called on the President to review and restructure the Ministry of National Security establishment with a view to ensuring clarity of responsibilities and roles as well as lines of reporting. It proposed the SWAT team of the National Security Council Secretariat should be disbanded and operatives be reassigned as appropriate. The Commission further recommended that support for special operations should be sought from the specialized units of the police directly as and when necessary. 50% of the recommendations that make specific reference to individuals and their specific roles they played leading to the violence during the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election were rejected by government in the White Paper. The Emil Short Commission recommended the criminal prosecution of Mr. Ernest Akumia alias Double, and government took note of it and referred the matter to the CID for investigation. In the case of DSP Samuel Kojo Azugu, the Commission recommended his removal from command responsibility at the National Security and reassigned. Government once again took note of it and referred it to the IGP for consideration. The White Paper, however, rejected recommendations for Colonel Michael Poku and Brian Echampong, Minister of State in charge of National Security, to be reprimanded. The prosecution of the man who slapped Ningo Prampram MP Sam George was also rejected. Now, meanwhile, Secretary to the Emil Short Commission, Ernest Kofi Abochi, is calling for a cleanup of the security services ahead of this year's general election to forestall the lapses witnessed during the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election.
And we thought that given the importance of the security sector, particularly in an electoral season, as we have in 2020, it is important that we streamline the security sector and that, I use the word advisedly, that we clean up the structure of our security system to ensure the avoidance of the kinds of contradictions and difficulties that we saw as far as the coordination of the security apparatus and the security dynamics of the country was concerned. So that's informed substantially the committee's finding as far as the structural realignment of the security sector was concerned. Again, as I indicated, government knows best. Government knows best what it requires as far as the security sector was concerned. But in light of our work, we thought that recommendation was a useful recommendation moving forward in guiding government, in guiding the state to better deliver on the security needs of Ghana as a vital public good.
That's the Secretary to the Emil Short Commission, lawyer Ernest Kofi Abochi. Now, Dr. Kingsley Ejay is a security analyst. He also lectures at the Cape Coast University. He's warning it will be difficult to stop the activities of vigilante groups in the 2020 elections as long as government fails to punish those recommended in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence report. He joins us on the line with more. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So as far as we are concerned, government says it has referred some of the individuals cited in the report to the police. Why are you convinced these people are not likely to be punished? It appears we've lost Dr. Kingsley Ejay there on the phone. We'll work the lines once again, and as and when we're able to raise him, we'll speak to him on this matter. But whilst we wait, the National Identification Authority says discrepancies in biographic data of registered applicants are among the major reasons for the delays in issuing the ID cards. The registration process for the Ghana card, according to the authority, has been hit by many challenges. Prominent among them is the unusually large number of persons whose cards have not been issued or printed. But speaking on the Super Morning Show with Daniel Dante, Executive Director of the NIA, Professor Kenatefo argued inconsistencies in data provided by some applicants is a major cause of the delays in issuing cards.
When people go to register, they are required to provide consistent information. You could only be born one day. There are people who registered for the Ghana card during the President Kufuor, President Mills's era and President Mahama's era. They used names or date of births that are different, some of them, that are different from the names and date of birth that they are presenting to NIA in 2018, 2019, 2020. The system that we have designed is so robust, so sensitive as to, as it were, arrest and send into adjudication. To restrict your application, question it, and send it into adjudication. And that's the cause of the delay. That is one of the cause of the delay. Those who have SNIT, date of birth at SNIT, and are seeking to reduce their age, become younger through the NIA process, the system arrests them and sends them into adjudication. Those who were Georgina Mansa but have now become Georgina Dazi and have gone through no legal process to change name and gazette it, and they present conflicting documentation, the system arrests them and sends them into adjudication. A third scenario is where your biometrics and your biography, your biometrics, fingerprints, your face, and all of that, and another person's are so identical, the system is suspicious. We have arrangements in place to ensure that every single Ghanaian who registered for the card, who presents honest, consistent information, will get their cards. Okay. Those whose cards go into adjudication, we will resolve those issues on a case-by-case basis, and we will have the cards given out to them.
Now, according to the authority, the process at some registration centers has been characterized by shortage of material, extortion, and registration of foreigners in violation of the law, among others. Professor Kenatefo blames this on misconduct of his staff, describing some as corrupt.
We made all the requisite arrangements that should have assured a much easier, better experience for the people of Ghana living in that region. Unfortunately, the conduct of some of our staff has severely undermined public confidence in the activity that should otherwise have been a pleasant one.
Professor Kenneth Tefo is Executive Director of the National Identification Authority. Let's go back to our earlier story about the Emil Short Commission and the recommendations. I was billed to speak to Dr. Kingsley Ejay. He's a security analyst and he also lectures at the Cape Coast University. He has concerns about the punishment of those who were recommended in the Commission's report. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. I was saying that as far as we're concerned, government says it has referred some of the individuals cited in the report to the police, but you appear unconvinced.
Yes, because you need to punish people to serve as deterrent to those who want to commit same, nefarious activities. And once people commit such nefarious activities and they are not punished, it encourages others to do same. So I believe that in 2020 we'll continue to see the so-called vigilante groups, which I call local terrorists. The reasons, apart from what I've said, are many, but I'll just give you a few. The first one is that, vigilantism in our system is a demand and supply security situation. So as long as political parties demand their services, they will avail themselves. And this is reinforced by the winner-takes-all system, which makes our elections a do-or-die affair. And sometimes people would not contest ideas. We are not looking at competencies, but we are looking at those who have so much money and who can hire the services of these vigilante groups. The second, perhaps, is that since 1992, when we started our wave of democracy, there has been a steep increase in the population of the youth without a corresponding increase in job avenues. So, because they have no jobs, the youth have become vulnerable to the whims and caprices of the political class, who then mobilize them for these nefarious activities. There is also the perception, and sometimes reality, that the security services, especially the police, work in tandem with the government in power. And this, again, is reinforced by the fact that when a new government comes to power, it appoints all the security, the head of the security services. If you take the police from the IGP down to the district commander, we have new ones to replace the old ones, which implies that those in power now are sympathetic to the government in power. And for that matter, even when there's a vigilante, so-called vigilante group that belongs to the ruling party, it is difficult for you to punish them because they are part of your people.
But at least a law has been passed, and we've witnessed the primaries at least conducted by the opposition NDC. We didn't see vigilante groups play out in that. Is that not commendable?
Yes, Emefa, you will agree with me that Ghana is replete with laws. But look at our laws and how we behave. Do we really abide by the laws? Vehicles go through red lights, they are not punished. A lot of things happen that we just gloss over. People are to do the right things, they don't do them. How many people have been punished in those respects? So it's one of our laws. And, those who are concerned are the rulers. It is not you and I, or you and it is not you and I. It is those who are concerned, those who should really see to the execution of these laws who are affected. And they can refuse to abide by them. There are many laws binding people in power that they don't even accede to. So it's one thing passing a law, another thing, making it work.
Well, we are grateful for your time. That's security analyst Dr. Kingsley Ejay. He also lectures at the University of Cape Coast. Now, the Student Representative Council of the Accra Technical University has threatened to demonstrate if the current impasse between TUSAC and government is not resolved. The Technical Teachers Association and the Senior Staff Association have abandoned their work to protest non-payment of allowances. The students who were expected to be writing the examinations now say the situation is adversely affecting them.
During the last semester, and we weren't able to write our exams. So we've been asked to go home and come back, and as at now, we haven't started the exams and nothing is going on. And as a final year student, it's having more effect on us than anything else. Because right now, there are project work that are supposed to be supervised, and our supervisors are not doing anything because they are on strike. So we are pleading with the government to come to our aid.
It has taught everything to the extreme that we are not even doing anything. Basically, today we are having a paper today. We are here and then we are stranded. You can't even see the lectures around. Pleading on the government and also on the lectures also to do something about it.
SRC President of the Accra Technical University, Safo Kwesi Kantanka, was unhappy, and this is the second time exams has been cancelled following the association strike in October last year. They have dubbed their demonstration Operation Desert Storm.
SRC, in collaboration with our mother university, Jinut, we are planning alongside that if it should happen that nothing is being done about this case. What we did last year in terms of the intrinsic or the internal demonstration, this time around we'll be doing an external one, a massive one, and then it will be called Operation Desert Storm. And then I believe when we do that, the government will know we the students, we are also in a way involved when 2 elephants goes to what is the ground that surface. So we have plans, we have soft plans and we have tough plans as well.
Keaton and Safo is at the university and joins us live with updates. So we've heard about soft and tough stance. Tell us about the situation as you met it when you went to campus.
Well, I'm currently at the Accra Technical University, as you mentioned earlier, and the situation continues with many of the students confused as to what they are supposed to do today. Many of them came with the expectation that at least with today, the strike action for some reason could be called off so they could have their exams. As I speak to you, many of them are found gathered under trees, some of them sitting in groups at the library, some are also moving and doing about their own thing on campus. Many of them engaged in chats, some taking pictures about, and others like that. That means they haven't achieved any academic activities today. But unlike previous strike that we've covered in the past 3 months or so, today there are no visible lecturers on campus here. So totally, it has been left in the hands of the students and what they choose to do with their own time.
PSC and Anaya Safo there, and of course we've been speaking to the NCTE, and they claim that TUTAG and TUSAC and those involved were supposed to provide some data, and that's what they are waiting for. As and when the data is provided, the situation will be resolved. We'll still be looking out for that issue, and as and when we get the details, we'll bring it to you. Now, banking consultant Nanotwe Champong is blaming what he describes as slow judicial system for the woes of hundreds of aggrieved customers of defunct gold dealership Men's Gold in the quest to retrieve their locked up investment. According to him, the frustrations of the customers are justified because there appears no form of urgency by the Attorney General's office to prosecute the Chief Executive Officer of the company for his role in the matter. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, over 100 aggrieved customers yesterday besieged the Trasacco residents of Nanapia Mensa to demand their monies. Yes, Arap.
I'm from Kumasi. My money locked at what Men's Gold 2 years now. That's why I was here to collect our money.
It's annoying. Only one person you people are protecting, and so many people are dying in their bedrooms. It's not one being made by gold, and some of us have been made by the sun. I do not want to disclose my money on the air because when I mention it, my heart, it's annoying, my brother. Some of us were ready. They can use our blood to rewrite the history. That one person have duped the whole nation, and they are protecting him. We are sick and tired.
The customers were then arrested by police and charged with conspiracy to commit crime, unlawful entry, offensive conduct and violation of the Public Order Act. But they were last night cautioned and released. Isaac Nyako is vice chair of the aggrieved customers.
We hitting Attorney General to demand explanation on the way forward, because Attorney General at a point assured us that when NAM1 comes to Ghana, he will call for a tripartite committee where all the customer leadership and then government officials and NAM1 management will sit down and look at things and see the way forward. Transparent way to ensure that every customer receives his money. And since NAM1 came, Honorable Pinka has decided not to call for that meeting. They decided not to talk on the issue. And we are also Ghanaians, and we demand that transparency that he assured us, that stakeholder meeting that he assured us. We also demand that they can't sit aloof and look at Nana Apia deceiving the public and customers who are suffering. They are government officials, and they own us a social responsibility to protect us.
So when you say you hit the Attorney General, what does that mean? Are you demonstrating? Are you writing a letter?
We are going there to call for a government intervention where government will be part of this issue.
So you're demonstrating. You're demonstrating.
So we'll be demonstrating, yes. We will be there to pitch it.
Now, banking consultant Nana Otwe Champon agrees with the decision by the customers to picket the AG's office over the matter. He, however, blames the judicial system for the worsening woes of the customers.
You can imagine somebody saving in his life, and then he goes to somebody and the court is so slow. The police think they can contain them. One day it will explode. Because you see, the man is hiding behind the flaws in the law and the judiciary. Frustrate them. The slow judiciary system and judicial and legal system in this country is not very conducive for any business people to come into this country. If international person coming and he experiences this, what does he go to tell the international world? Let the judiciary and the legal system work so that people will see that the axe has fallen, but not people hiding behind it. Everything you hear them, the docket has gone to attorney general. The slow judiciary processes, especially when it comes to recovery of money and debt, it's not helping the businesses in this country. Bank debt. You take people to court. It can take you 5 years to recover a debt from a customer. And the 5 years, what is the value of that money? Even if he pays you, worthless.
The leadership of the customer group say they're going to be going to the AG's office sometime to ask for the status of a probe and the asset valuation, etc.
They are right to go there and ask for it. They should have even seek the police. They say they don't have public order or something. They should go and and walk to the AG's office and ask him what is the status of this case. I mean, it's sad. People are dying.
You heard the banking consultant, Dr. Richmond Etiahene. Now, public relations officer Niyama Amatefio has been speaking to Daniel Dazi on the Super Morning Show about the status of the set payments to clients.
Like, the reason why I wasn't able to clear the...
We can't deny the fact that our customers are going through a lot. And we know as management, we know they are going through a lot of frustration, a lot of hardship that they are going through. I engage a lot of these customers, and we know what they are going through. See, we can say that the matter is in court at this point. So let's wait for the court to make a determination, and then we'll adhere to the ruling or the judgment of the court. But we realize that no, we can't wait for that. So the board decided that let's start to raise money internally and start paying. Let's make an effort so that at least they will agree with us, so that since that we started the payment, gradually we'll get there. I know that the 200 that we paid, it's very insignificant. Looking at the number of people that we have, the 200 is just a drop in the ocean.
When are you going to pay the rest?
We are continuing paying. That is a schedule that we are following. For now, we are dealing with the zero category. When we are done with the zero category, we move to 10%. That means people who have received only one extra value. So there is a list that we are following, right? So I want to plead with our customers, please become. I beg of them. I know they are going through a lot. I know they are going through a lot of frustration. I know a lot of things, please, but I'm begging them to become. Let's stay focused. It's the bottom line, as you said, is for us to pay them.
For them to receive their monies. So after the 200, how many have been paid?
We were supposed to continue the payment last week Friday, but we were not able to conclude with the list. So like yesterday was when they finished with, I think, 150 or so list to go, and then the issue happened. It's not affecting the payment schedule. We are going on with the payment schedule.
You are scheduling to pay 150 people on the 9th of January.
That's the list that has been generated. I'm not saying all of them will be. That's the list that has been generated.
So it's even possible not all of them will be paid?
Because we are paying gradually. Don't forget that we are using cash in hand. That's what we are doing. We don't have, if you look at the statement we issued.
You heard that Niyama Amatefio, he speaks for Men's Gold. We'll take a quick break here on the Midday News. When we return, we'll hear about the global mixed reaction that greeted decision by Prince Harry and Meghan to step back as senior royals and split their time between the UK and North America.
We have chosen to carve out a progressive new role within this institution.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Time now for sports.
Now, she's some way off the qualifying standard for the 2020 Olympic Games, but high jumper Rosie Abua has a sight set on Tokyo. The 2019 Africa Games gold medalist yesterday improved her personal best from 1.84 meters to 1.85 to emerge winner at the ongoing Gusa Games. Yeboah failed to clear height of 1.90 meters, but explains she could have done better yesterday to be within a meter of the 1.96 Olympic qualifying mark.
Like, the reason why I wasn't able to clear the 1.90 because I was jumping from behind. That's why I couldn't jump the 1.90.
So you believe that even the 1.90, it was something that you can do and you can do sometime soon?
Yes, I can jump it. Because it's like I have to calculate my steps very well. If I calculate my steps very well, I would be able to jump the 1.9 meters.
You know what, we don't often get athletes do this, and you seem to be really, really going far with all of this. What has been the motivation? What has been pushing you on? What are the secrets? What have they been giving you to eat at the University of Cape Coast?
Like, my secret is I have been taking my training seriously. That's all my secrets.
Rosie Abua there, and of course we can only wish her well as she pursues a place at Tokyo 2020. That's your sports.
Now let's head to the western region town of Butri. That's where tourists arriving for the Year of Return program and others are unable to access an attractive tourist site due to bad roads and dilapidated bridges. Henry Kwesibidu was there. Here's his report read to you.
A bird eye view of Butri, a coastal community in western region. What you see are ruins of Fort Banterstein, built in 1656. From up here, it's a breathtaking view of the coast, lagoon, large vegetation and hills. Visitors enjoy a canoe ride through a mangrove to see wildlife species like alligators and crocodiles. But access to these tourist sites are impeded by a dilapidated footbridge that links the community. Tourists say, although it is adventurous to walk on the bridge, they are scared using it.
I was more scared actually using it in daylight than I was using it during the dark, because you can actually see, you know, the fragility and how wobbly it is.
So we got there where they said bridge. I even had my measures. Meanwhile, it wasn't my time. My time is not due.
Many other communities are cut off when the bridge collapses occasionally. According to residents, when the bridge collapsed in November last year, it claimed the life of a 7-year-old boy. Elizabeth is a class 6 pupil here.
We are frightened anytime we use the bridge. My colleague lost his life last year and we want government to fix the bridge for us.
According to elders of Butri community, the bridge has claimed 4 lives, injuring dozens in the span of 3 years.
Now, Iran says it will take harsher revenge soon after launching missile attacks on U.S. bases following the death of Qasem Soleimani. That's according to the Revolutionary Guards commander Abdullah Aragi. He's threatened further Iranian reprisals despite President Trump's claims that the Islamic Republic appear to be standing down. Meanwhile, some U.S. congressmen are preparing to vote on limiting President Trump's war powers. Here's a report by U.S. network ABC.
All work together toward making a deal with Iran.
On Capitol Hill is National Security Team briefing members of Congress, but Democrats leaving unconvinced.
It is a far cry from meeting a standard of imminent threat.
And 2 conservative Republican senators, Rand Paul and Mike Lee, agreed, saying they'll join Democrats and vote to limit the president's war powers.
What I found so distressing about that briefing was that one of the messages we received from the briefers was, do not debate, do not discuss the issue of the appropriateness of further military intervention against Iran. And that if you do, you'll be emboldening Iran. I find this insulting and demeaning, not personally, but to the office that each of the 100 senators in this building happens to hold.
That Senate vote isn't expected until next week, but later today, the House will be taking their vote on a resolution making clear to the president if he wants to go to war, he'll need Congress to sign off.
Now, from the U.S., let's head to the U.K. Mapito, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, announced yesterday that they will step back as senior royals and work to become financially independent. In a statement, Prince Harry and Meghan also said they plan to split their time between the U.K. and North America.
Now, Emefa, this comes as a shock to everyone, as no other royal, including the Queen or Prince William, was consulted before the statement, and Buckingham Palace is disappointed. Senior royals are understood to be hurt by the announcement. Let's take a listen to experts of the statements.
We have chosen to carve out a progressive new role within this institution. We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen.
Now, last October, Prince Harry and Meghan publicly revealed their struggles under the media spotlight. Speaking in the ITV documentary Harry and Meghan, An African Journey, the Duchess referred to her life under the spotlight on top of just trying to be a new mom or trying to be a newlywed.
I would say any woman, especially when they're pregnant, you're really vulnerable, and so that was made really challenging. And then when you have a newborn, and especially as a woman, it's a lot. So you add this on top of just trying to be a new mom or trying to be a newlywed. It's I guess, and also thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay, but it's a very real thing to be going through behind the scenes.
And the answer is, would it be fair to say not really okay, as in it's really been a struggle?
Yes.
Now, many people have been reacting to this. What are they saying on social media?
All right, at Piers Morgan saying that people say I'm too critical of Meghan Markle, but she ditched her family, ditched her dad, ditched most of her old friends, split Harry from William, and has now split him from the royal family. I rest my case. And the last one is from at Kimberly JC, who says, not a fan of the royals, but good on Harry and Meghan taking control of their own lives.
What did the Bible say? You leave your mother and your father and cleave unto. Well, so there's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Memefa Apo. Thanks for your company. Living Word with Dr. Otabil is up next.